Hi, everyone. I'm Alexis Shepperd,
And I'm Shana James.
and we have both been coaching men and women for almost 20 years to have amazing relationships and love.
And we're partnering now with Good Guys to Great Men and here to answer some of your most pressing questions about women and sex. And our topic today is, does size matter? We hear this all the time from men.
We do. And when I first heard this question, I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world am I going to say about this? Because it kind of matters and it also doesn't matter at the same time. That's what first happened in me.
Right. I mean, when I think about it, really, like I've had experiences, and I was telling Alexis this, and I was like, can I really say this out loud? But I was saying that, I've had experiences where I've suddenly first seen a man's cock and been like, oh, that's a little smaller than I thought it would be, or a little smaller than I'm used to. And my experience, though, from there has gone into like, wow, I cannot believe how, for me, most of the time, size does not matter, because when a man is truly present with me and when he's connecting with me and penetrating me in an energetic way, it totally takes over.
It's funny, whether I'm talking with men or lately I've been having this come up with some of my female clients saying like having stuff come up about sex and it's such a sensitive thing to talk about.
Yeah.
Like they don't want to bring up something with their partner if they don't feel satisfied or if they feel uncomfortable. It is
So tender and
sensitive to talk about,
Yeah.
whether it's sensitive for the guy to talk about
Yeah.
or, difficult for the woman to talk about. But I mean, one thing is clear is both people want to be pleasured and to feel like they're pleasuring their partner. And so this is so interesting. So it does happen not infrequently that women have like a sexual experience that, might have some pleasure, but is like not
Not
enough.
fully satisfying, right? Or not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or she wants more
Yes.
and feels frustrated and feels like, oh, that wasn't like, even sometimes, you can have an orgasm, but sometimes I know women can like know like, oh, well, if I just do X, Y, and Z, then I'll have an orgasm.
Yeah.
And, but it's kind of like a quickie,
Yeah.
which is really different. And, I'm all for quickies, but sometimes you want to make love or sometimes you want to get fucked so deep. And
Right? Or you wanted to go on and on and on because you're opening and open. Like there are experiences, energetic experiences that don't happen unless you continue to open and more and more and more and more.
and that's the thing I think is, I have been with men with different size cocks and and really this thing about like, can somebody take me to places I cannot go myself?
Yes.
So it's emotional,
Yeah.
but it's also sexual, and that, like you said, it does not have to do with size.
No.
Size is just like, so there's something in like the feminine, like we want to be filled up.
Yeah.
Not all the time, but there is an experience in sex like we want to be filled up. We want to be full. We want to be expanded. We want to be like cracked open. So when a man is large, I mean, but honestly, if he hasn't warmed up my heart yet,
Totally. I was just
if
going to say that, right? Like if he's
it's not
large,
enjoyable.
but it's like, okay, so there's something physical inside me. I'm filled up, but it feels horrible if my heart isn't open. And I've had so many experiences with men where like a man has orgasmed and finished, climaxed and finished, and then he kind of like rolls over as though it's all over. And that is like horribly disappointing and degrading. And it's just like, wait, really? Like, just because you're done, that means this is done? How about us? How about a connection here? How about like, right? I mean, I remember years ago in a relationship where, he would be done. And then at one point I brought up the subject, it was so vulnerable. And I was like, when you're done, I'm not always done. And he was like, well, you could ask. Like, you could ask for more. And I was like, yes, that is true. I have a mouth, I can speak. But at the same time, like, if you're actually connected to this woman who you're having sex with, it's not a selfish act of like, I'm just trying to get off, right? It's like, what is happening for the both of us? What is happening in this connection together? And there's a pleasure to be taken in taking a woman beyond where she's ever been, like Alexis said. Like, there are stratospheres. It's almost like opening, in different levels of space and consciousness that can happen. And if you're not taking a woman there, I think it was David Schnarch who was like, yeah, a lot of women don't necessarily seem like they want to have sex because it's not sex that's worth having. It's not sex that's totally
Yes,
opening her and releasing her or connecting and merging with you.
that's it. It's not like the quantity of the sex or the size of the cock. It's like, is this sex worth having?
Yes. Yeah, right. Which is another question we can address in another video. What makes sex worth having?
Yeah. Okay. So and we're addressing that some here, but let's put a bookmark on that for later. And you also brought up another question I think guys have a lot is, oh crap, now I forgot it. Uh, but something about like about premature ejaculation, or if he comes sooner than
Yeah.
she's ready for. We're kind of like rolling that into the size question, but I know that comes up a lot as like, okay, well, what do I do when I come sooner than what she's ready for?
Yeah. Right. And there's so many things to do. I mean, you can, I guess I want to say, like, in that moment, you might be like, oh, okay, I just need a break, or I need a little pause or something. But you can always say, hey, I just need a pause. And then I'm going to come back to you and see what you need and want, right? There's toys, there's fingers, there's your mouth. There's so many things that could happen. And without that, again, I just go back to that. Like, without that, I, as a woman, start to feel objectified. Like, I've just been, a thing that
Yes.
was used for your pleasure. Which, if
That
there's
can be
consent,
hot
that can
if
be
we're doing
fun.
that on purpose. If we're doing that on purpose together, that can be a really hot thing to do.
Exactly. But if it's a separate thing and it's not actually co-created, then it's really disappointing.
It's really disappointing.
Yeah. Anything else you
Mine
want to
just went
say?
blank. So this whole thing about size, right? Like the experience as a woman of being filled up and, being stimulated all over inside, like actually the physical stimulation of it, but the having it not just be the thing that happens at the moment of intercourse.
Yeah.
Like when I feel the most fulfilled sexually, it's not a thing that starts at the moment of intercourse.
Yeah.
It's like when a man can show up and penetrate me with his gaze, with his desire, even outside of the bedroom. When I feel like there's an emotional connection, but even beyond that, like just kind of sexuality woven into the day, and how we're being together.
Yes.
And this whole thing about being penetrated and filled up is like, um, that I know that he wants my desire and he wants my pleasure.
Yeah.
And he's like, that when I know that that's a turn on for him, like, and I know that
That
he
is
just, he
amazing.
wants that and he wants to go for that, whether it's with his hard cock or in whatever other way,
Yeah.
when I feel that's genuinely his desire, he can have his own desires for pleasure. I'm all for that too.
Of course. Yes.
But when I feel a man is like, I want
I
to
want to
crack
make you
you
feel good.
wide open,
Yes.
yeah, and pleasure you in like whatever way that is,
Yeah.
then I feel penetrated.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's
Like,
something too of like, when I think you alluded to this, but I also feel that sense of like, I want my heart to be penetrated, which I know that can seem like a weird, airy fairy thing, but I've actually had sex where a man has been inside of me and I've started to feel the energy come up into my heart. I've had like my heart orgasm, right? Like my heart has opened, and it can go all the way up to the head, and it can go out and through the entire body. And it's not just some physical move or a kind of thrust that does it. It's the presence, it's the consciousness, it's the ability to be vulnerable together, to open together, to merge together, to want for the other, like you were saying, what you would want for yourself in a way. It's like I would want my partner to be pleasured and connected as much as I would want that for myself, right? That starts to feel like, okay, now we're getting present together. We're in our bodies, we're in our hearts, we're not just in our heads. And then it's like our bodies and our consciousness in a way starts to fill each other.
Just reminded me of a time a long time ago. I was getting over a heartbreak, and a man was interested in being with me, and I was not ready. And I said, I don't, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready to have sex with you. And he said, I don't want to have sex with you. And I was like, you don't? Because it was pretty clear he was interested. He's
Yeah.
like, I don't want to have sex with you. I want to kiss you on every inch of your body. And uh, I want to find every nook and cranny that hurts and every nook and
Mm.
cranny that feels pleasure. And I want to kiss you everywhere. And it was
Oh,
like
I can
what
feel
he
that
said.
already right now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes.
In that moment, he fucked me open.
Yes.
It was what he said, but also how he said it.
Yeah.
Unapologetic,
Yep.
totally owning what he wanted, while also being sensitive to where I was at. Like,
Yes.
but his
Oh,
desire was so clear. And so whether that happens verbally, whether that happens physically, but that kind of energy, it melted me. And it was not long
brilliant.
after
I
that
can
I had sex with that man.
exactly. I was like, I can feel that. I want to have sex with that man right now, right? That way where his attention is not just on getting off or getting his own needs met. It's like he actually wants to give to you. He actually wants to be with you. So I
And
would
it wasn't
say,
and it wasn't all from the heart up either. I mean, it was
right.
clear. He was like, his turn on was very present,
Yes.
you
Right. I
know.
talk a lot with the men I work with about head, heart, and balls, right? Like that there's this balance. And when you're actually feeling all of those and they're all aligned, there's a kind of presence that happens. And so we want to give you something that you can actually do or try. And I would say the thing that I'm thinking of is starting to, if you're having sex right now, starting to actually envision like what would this be like for me to take my partner on an incredible ride like she's never been on before. Like how could I fill her up, not only just with the physicality, but with my heart, with my presence, with my gaze, with the way I'm touching her, right? And how could I bring her with me, and how could we experience, I'm kind of imagining like a roller coaster or something. It's like, how can I create this ride for and with her like she's never experienced before? You want to
I
give one
love
too,
it.
Alexis?
I was like, I want to go on that ride. That's fine. You could take me on
That's
that
fine,
ride.
let's go on that ride.
And I think the thing is, it is normal to have like anxiety. If you already have some anxiety about whether you're pleasing your partner, have that be there. But the more you can let that go and just trust, even if she is a no to you, because we're going to be no's a lot.
A
I
lot.
mean,
It's
a
always changing.
lot, a lot every day. And, to be able to not hold your desire back,
Yeah.
even if she's a no to you. She may still be a no to you for right now, but
Yeah.
to like penetrate through her desire, her no,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about non-consent,
Right.
obviously. I'm just saying, like, don't hold your desire back, your lust for her. It doesn't mean you have to be needy about it.
Yeah.
Just
There's a
don't
difference
don't
between
have your
like
energy be
trying to get it
unapologetic
met
about it.
versus that unapologetic, I want you.
Yeah. you could just hold that, and I get it's a practice in vulnerability, whether she's a big yes to you or that she's
Oh, fuck
not
no.
feeling it. It's like, be a yes to that then too. Like, okay, oh, I get you're not into it right now, and I still want you. You can even have that silently. If she doesn't melt soon, you're going to melt some other woman. That's
Exactly.
what I'd say.